Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Wednesday and we are going to finish the background on this page. Now I have taped it off. We're going to be using something I have never used before. So this may turn out poorly. We will see. But as you can see, that's the way it looks now. Hopefully we don't completely mess it up. We are going to use the Gouache and we're going to use it straight. So we're not going to add water. I want it to have that acrylic look. And we're only going to be using this on the background itself. We're going to be using the liquid pearl on the clock face. So we're going to do the clock face first. So I'm going to zoom you in. We'll put that on the side there. I'm going to zoom you into the clock face and then we'll get that done. And once that dries, we will put the gouache on. And hopefully not completely mess it up, but we will see how that goes. So just 1 second here and we'll zoom you in. I hope everybody is having a wonderful week so far. It is midweek and I have a fly in my office and it's driving me crazy. All right, there we go. I think that's as close as I can get you before, but as you can see, there is a fly flying around my head and around my desk, and it's really, really driving me nutty. So if I seem to go squirrely, that is why. All right, so we're going to use two different colors. I'm going to use a white silver, so the platinum pearl on the outside, and on the inside here, we're going to use some gold to tie into all of those other colors of the pillars as well as the gold clock. So I'm using the liquid pearls the same way I did on Stream on Monday. So I'm putting the pearl in the tray. I'm going to add a little bit of, see, it's a nice white silver, so it should look really good. I'll put a little bit of water in it and then we will mix it up. We'll see if we need to add any more of the pearl once we break this down. And basically what we're doing is we're breaking down that thicker glue and just keeping the paint itself. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the liquid pearl. So as you can see, it's got that shimmer still. And we might need to add a little bit more water just so that we have enough to get the clock done. All right. I like the consistency of that. All right. Now I'm going to grab some paper towel. And we're going to take a larger pen here. So this one has a little bit of a larger bubble on it. So hopefully it will help me cover a larger area. Without giving us those movement lines. Go over as you can see, I've already done the black on the number areas, so the times, as well as on the hands. I used a dark silver. And what adding water does is it makes it a little more flowing, so you don't get that thicker pearl look, but you still get that glaze, and that's what I want. I want that glaze. And I considered not doing a video of this because this is going to take a little bit of time, but I had requests. So I don't have a whole lot to talk about. So the way that I found out that we could do this with liquid pearls was just on experimentation. So if you have something that you want to try it. Give it a bit of an experiment. This was a good outcome. It was what I was hoping for. But sometimes they don't turn out so good. Sometimes you will find that it doesn't turn out the way you want it to or the way you expected. But that's why you experiment first. Don't do the experiment on your page. Do it on something that is easily thrown away or, replaced, just in case it does turn out poorly. But don't feel hesitant on experimenting with what you're doing. That is the joy of creativity, is we get the opportunity to try different things and experiment with what we're doing. So don't shy away from that. Sometimes it's good to watch a YouTuber do the experimenting for you, but sometimes it's good to experiment too. And even if watch a YouTuber do it, just know that they've experimented on several different things before they have shown you. Not very many of them go, okay, we're going to try this, and if it don't work, oops. Many of them do check things out first and try things out first before saying, this is what we're going to do. However, I'm not one of those people. uh, I have watched Emily and several other people use the gouache, so I'm a little bit afraid that I'm going to mess it up, but I'm not going to hesitate on trying it. Now, I have done a little bit with the gouache on and watercolor type gouache. I've added water to it, and I have tried that. I have not ever tried it straight. So that is where we're going to experiment today, and hopefully it'll turn out the way I want it to. If it does not, it'll be fine. Hopefully it does. But we're going to use a dark blue, and we're going to do the background, and then we're going to add some bits of white, sparkle white, to add little bits of sparkle to the page. And hopefully it will turn out the way I want it to. That is always the goal, to not completely mess up the page. However, if it does, it does. It's just paper. And I just know not to do it again. Or to experiment more with it and find my happy place with it. Sometimes that's another thing too, is you just have to find your happy place with it. Where you are confident in what you're doing and able to build what you're doing. You know, like this process here, I didn't do a huge amount of experimenting with it, but I did do enough to know what I needed to move this ink or paint around. You know, it didn't move around very well with the rubber spatula ends of these dotting tools, but it does move around very, very nicely with the metal end. Now we are going to try a smaller tip to get into those smaller areas. I do have smaller tipped ones as well, and that's what we'll use to get into those smaller areas. Now hopefully I don't stick my hand in it. I really want this fly to go away. He keeps on landing on my page, and he stays on the page for a little while. I think I should just squish him. But I know exactly what's going to happen if I squish him on my page. It's going to leave a lovely bloody mess, bug guts everywhere on my page, and I don't want that. So I won't squish him on my page. And he knows it. I swear he knows it. So he just hovers around my page or my face. And I ain't going to squish him while he's on my face because I don't want bug guts on my face either. But he is driving me batty. So we have another video coming out tomorrow for our adults coloring for beginners or from the beginning. So that'll be coming out tomorrow. I have not started on it. I wasn't very happy with the way that the face came out with the light colors on it. And that's one of those things that is a part of that lesson, is when you're not happy with something and it's only partially done, don't discourage it. Don't get discouraged by it. You know, continue on with what you're doing, and it will come together in the end. Now this is a lot of liquid. It's not a lot of water, but it is a lot of liquid. And the paper is buckling a little bit, but once it dries, it'll be fine. All right, I'm going to make sure that I have every area. All right, so that has all those areas taken care of. Now I'm going to take a smaller one, and we're going to get into these smaller areas here. sure that we get into all the areas. Don't mind me, I am holding my breath because I don't want to get it on the gold. Another thing that I experimented with today, because I didn't want the acrylic paint that, or the gouache paint that I'm going to be putting on the background to stick to any of the areas that I've colored or that I've painted with the ink tints. I went over the whole thing with the Caran d'Ache blender. The reason why I use the Caran d'Ache blender is because it does give a level of water resistance to the color. So moving water products over top of it will not make those colors bleed through. Now, ink tints is supposed to be one of those things that when you put it down, it stays down, it doesn't move, blah, blah, blah. I have not ever experienced that. When I use ink tints, I can move it. I don't know why I can move it. It just moves. So I have never actually experienced that inability to move the ink tints once it's down. So I go over it with something that's going to seal it in. Now, what I didn't expect was the fact that I was actually able to blend the ink tints. I was very, very surprised at that. And I'll show you here on her dress because I didn't do her dress yet. So after we get this part done, because we need to wait for this to dry, and that's probably way too much gold, but that's all right. We'll sacrifice some. Okay, so we've got a good dollop of gold. I have wiped it out from the silver, but we've got a good dollop of gold. And then we're going to take our mixer, and then we're going to mix that in. Some of that silver will get mixed into it, but it's not a big deal because it's fairly white. And I just put that on top of the wet paint. And hopefully I didn't pick up too much of it. So just getting that all mixed in. Okay. Now that we've got that all mixed, we can take our larger tool here. So see, it's all mixed in. It's got some bubbles in it, but that's all right. So I'm just going to bring that all down into a puddle. Actually scrape it all down into a puddle because I want that part of it into the liquid. Otherwise you just end up with more liquid than the gold. I'm going right up to the edge there. concentration, sorry. Trying to make sure that I get the right amount of color in the right places. And not go over the other color. Now, because this is buckling a little bit, I have to be careful in the areas that are a little buckled, because you can end up with the paint running because we've added liquid to it. So I'm just being a little bit careful on how much I'm putting down and spreading it out. Now the metal tip of this is actually reacting the same way a dip pen would. So if you've ever used a dip pen, basically what you do is you dip your pen in the ink, and that ink will start moving down the pen the more you use it until it's got no more ink on it. And that's pretty much what we're doing here, is we're dipping it in, using it up until there's no more ink on it or paint. All right, so there we have the gold done as well. Now there are some areas here that are pooling a little bit, so we're just going to move that around just a touch. Adding a little bit more of the liquid just so that we can get it to move. All right, so that's the gold done. So that is all of those done. Now I'm going to show you what I mean by using a blender pencil on the ink tints here. So I'm going to shift you down onto the dress area. So I've got my Caran d'Ache blender. And what I'm doing is I'm just blending that in and coating it at the same time, so that when I do put the gouache down, hopefully it will protect it enough that I can just wipe it off if it gets on the dress. But as you can see, it even moves around and smooths out some of those little lines from the ink tints. Like so. And you've all seen, blender pencils used before, so this is not any great bit of visual, but as you can see, it flattened that out, gave me a good barrier as well. Now we're going to wipe that off and we're going to do her skin. Now her skin and her hair are colored pencil. So those are the Pro Color, Derwent Pro Color colored pencils. So we definitely do need to protect that because those do move with a water base. And we don't really want too much of her hair color to be in, well, we don't want any of her hair color to be in the paint color. Just gonna make sure I got all that off. All right, and there we have it. Now I'm going to zoom you out. See how wet that still is. It's just got a little bit of moisture still there. I'm going to zoom you out so that you can see it all together. And we're going to straighten this so you can actually see what I'm doing. All right, so now the scary part. We are going to take a brush. I'm going to use a small one and this one. So I'm going to use a small flat. It has a tip to it, but a lot of these areas are quite small. So we're going to use small brushes for this. Now I'm hoping that I have the right color in mind for this. So I think this one. I have not, yeah, I think that's the one. So we're going to use Prussian blue. Pretty sure ultramarine is too light. So we're going to use the Prussian blue. And like I said, we're going to go directly on this with the paint. So I'm just going to open it. So as you can see, it is a really thick jelly consistency to the paint. And I'm just going to do a small test area and see if I need to add water. If I need to add a bit of water, I will. But all right. Actually, no, that's what I wanted. And I've got the washi tape here so that I can protect the edge. Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted. All right, so little tiny areas. Might actually need a thinner brush to get down into some of these areas. All right. All right, I'm not liking the way that brush is turning out there, so let's Shannon did a dark blue acrylic background, and that's what gave me this idea. Because hers looked really good. Mine is not going to look so good, I'm sorry to say, but we'll make it work. And I thought about doing it in acrylic, but I've used acrylic. I've not used my gouache yet since getting it, so I figured I should try it. I bought the stuff. I should really not be afraid to use it. Was my thinking on it? Now, even though I've coated all of these little areas with the blender, I'm still being very careful not to go over them with the gouache because I really don't want to have to try to remove it. It's more of a precautionary thing in case you do go over it so that you can remove little bits of it. I would not suggest just grabbing a brush and just painting over the entire thing and wiping it off, because sometimes, it's great for water, but I don't know if it would work as well for the gouache or the acrylic. So I do know that I can minimize it because I've done it with the acrylic before. However, this is going to look very choppy because of the small areas. And you're probably seeing the top of my head. I'm trying to get close enough to see the small areas without going over other areas. All right. The cup seems to have a little bit more of the consistency that I want, so yeah, that's better. Still got too much on my brush though. Oh, this is going to take a long time. I'll do a couple more areas with you guys on here, but this is going to take a very long time, and I don't want to take up too much of your time today. So what I will do is I will still film it, but I will speed it up and edit it into the video so that you can see the final outcome. But I'm not going to sit here with you guys, on record all day long. So I will be speeding this up for you so that you can see it in its progression and that sort of thing. And I will be back and talk to you again at the end of the video. All right, so enjoy the speed through. I will add a little bit of music to it, and we will get the gouache finished on the background, and then we will come back. All right, guys, so enjoy and yeah, have some fun with it. All right, everyone, until next time. Well, until I get back, enjoy. All right, so we have finished the gouache. Now what I've learned about the gouache as I've been painting this, it flows a lot better with a bit of water added to it. So it moves a lot better. It doesn't clump on the paintbrush as bad, and it dries really fast. So even if you're painting with it, if you have an open container, you're going to find that a skin forms on it fairly quickly. I didn't like that. It was not fun. I don't don't recommend. Another thing I have learned is you do have to mix it up. Um, do not do not recommend that you don't mix it up. So we're going to take some white and we're just going to take the dotting tool and another thing that I did realize that I have actually missed. Hold on a sec. I've got to fix something. Is that I missed a spot, so I just gotta fix it. You have to have a very steady hand. I dropped the paintbrush twice, so that was no fun. And the Caran d'Ache blender does not stop the paint from sticking to the area. So even though I thought maybe it would, it does not. So it does not give you any protection. So don't worry about doing that step. I will probably not do it ever again. It was definitely a little bit of a waste of time. Unless you're doing this with a lot of water as a watercolor, um, you're not going to protect your page at all with the Caran d'Ache. Now, if you're doing this as a watercolor, you will probably find that the Caran d'Ache does protect it quite a bit. However, if you're not doing it as a watercolor, you're going to find that it doesn't do a whole lot of anything for you. So I'm just putting in little white dots wherever I want it to look like there's magic dust coming off. So off the clock, from around her, and here. And as we get further out, those dots will start getting smaller, and we'll start adding smaller dots as well. So again, I'm just going into the white gouache directly with the dotting tool. And then we're going to also come out. from the flowers as well. Like so. Like I said, I'm going to come back through with a smaller point and add some smaller dots as well. Alright, now we're going to come back with the smaller tool. Got a smaller one here. There it is. Oh, sorry. Got into concentration mode and yeah, it went silent on you. Sorry. So as you can see, with the smaller dots, it begins to look more like dust instead of stars. We don't want it to look like stars. We want it to look more like the dust, the magic dust. Now you can do this with a dotting tool. You can do this with a toothbrush. I've never had any luck with a toothbrush with acrylic paint. I have not tried it with the gouache, of course, because this is really the first time that I've done anything major with the gouache. So maybe we'll try that another day. Need to take some of that off. Getting a little bit too much buildup on my tool, so the dots are not staying small. So if that happens, just wipe your tool off. And start over. Now I did put light areas and dark areas of the gouache. So there's different levels of blue throughout the page, which I thought was really cool looking. All right. I think that's going to be it for that and for the dots. Now we're going to put this away over here. I'll put those back after we peel this stuff off. All right, so I'm going to peel off the washi tape. And hopefully not peel off the page. And what the washi tape does is it gives you a way to A, pin it down to the table, and B, it gives you a crisp line. So if you're a messy painter like me and you want that crisp line, having the washi tape helps you maintain that. All right. Now, when the paint dries on the washi tape, it seems to flake off. No, no. Oh, it's peeling up my paper. There we go. So I'm peeling it away from the page just so that this loose stuff doesn't bounce back into the page onto any wet areas. Now we're just going to very gently dust that off. There we go. Then we're going to do the same thing on this side. Now this side we got to be a little bit carefuler because we've got the holes punched on this side. But if you haven't punched your paper and you've just peeled it out of the book. You don't need to be as careful as I do. Because I punched holes in it, and sometimes punching holes in it makes it harder to peel off. I'll shake this off afterwards and we'll see how it looks. Alright. So far, this washi tape's really good. It sticks to the paper really well. There we go. Alright. Just knocking off any bits of that paint. Paint everywhere. So there we have it. There we have our time for Shannon's prompt from Color and Craft with Shani Blue. There is our time prompt. So I will take a picture of this and I will post it in the Instagram and Facebook, and hopefully you all enjoyed it. Like I said, I am going to speed up, or I have sped up, is what I should say, the painting part of this. So all the blue background I did film and speed up for you. So I hope that that was fast enough and that it did not take you as long to watch it as it took me to paint it. But with that, I would like to say thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this Work in Progress Wednesday and that you enjoyed finishing the page. All right, guys, until next time, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Until then, bye-bye for now.